Hello and welcome to the Price Academy, bite-sized history videos. This video is introducing the Bristol Bus Boycott in 1963. In 1963, a young black man in Bristol was refused an interview for a job on the buses because of the colour of his skin. It sparked a protest which attracted national attention and ultimately led the way to the country's first ever race discrimination law. Let's find out what happened. Bristol in the early 1960s had around 3,000 residents of West Indian origin, some of whom had served in the British military during World War II, and others who had emigrated more recently. A large number lived in an area around City Road in St Paul's, as you can see on this map. They suffered discrimination in housing and employment, and some encountered violence from teddy boy gangs of white British youths. This community set up their own churches and associations, including the West Indies Association, which began to act as a representative body. One of their most important grievances was the colour bar operated by the Bristol Omnibus Company, which was a nationalised company owned by the government since 1950. Although there was a reported labour shortage on buses, prospective black employees were refused work on bus crews, although they were paid positions in workshops and canteens. The Bristol Evening Post and the Western Daily Press both ran posts on the colour bar. Company management responded by blaming the Transport and General Workers Union, which represented bus workers. The TGWU in the city had said that if one black man steps on the platform as a conductor, every wheel will stop. The bus workers' concerns were that the new competitive source of labour could reduce their earnings. 4 young West Indian men called Roy Hackett, Owen Henry, Orley Evans and Prince Brown formed an action group called the West Indian Development Council. The group decided to appoint Paul Stevenson to be their spokesman, as he had been to college and was articulate. Stevenson set up a test case to prove the colour bar existed by arranging an interview with the bus company for an 18-year-old called Guy Bailey. Adverts in the paper for would-be conductors had appeared, but when Guy Bailey arrived on time for his job interview, the receptionist said, "I don't think so," and the manager told her to tell Bailey the vacancies are full and that they don't employ black people. Inspired by the refusal of Rosa Parks to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, the activists decided on a bus boycott in Bristol. The action was announced at a press conference on 29th of April. The following day, they claimed none of the city's West Indians were using buses and many white people supported them. Students from Bristol University held a protest march to the bus station and local headquarters of the TGWU on the 1st of May, which attracted heckling from the bus crews as they passed through the city centre. High-profile politicians lent their support too. Bristol South East MP Tony Benn declared he would stay off the buses even if he had to find a bike. Labour leader Harold Wilson said he was glad that so many Bristolians are supporting the campaign and he wished them every success. Unlike in Montgomery, Alabama, where a large percentage of customers of the buses were African American, in Bristol this was not the case. Instead, the purpose of the British boycott was to generate propaganda, drawing parallels with US segregation and shaming the authorities whilst causing as much disruption as possible. Pickets of bus depots and routes were a key strategy, but like Martin Luther King, their methods were non-violent. As the month of May progressed, passengers were increasingly voicing their disapproval of bus crews. The passengers did not care who drove or conducted the bus, just that a bus turned up on time. Many other cities, like Bath and London, had black bus drivers. On the 28th of August, 250,000 people marched on Washington, D.C. to demand civil rights for African Americans, and Martin Luther King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech at the Lincoln Memorial. That same day was a momentous one in Bristol too. The Bristol Omnibus Company declared a change in their policy to complete integration, without regard to race, colour or creed. The colour bar was dead. By mid-September, Bristol had its first non-white bus conductor, an Indian-born Sikh who had lived in Bristol since 1959. Further black and Asian bus crews quickly followed, but Guy Bailey was not among them. The Race Relations Act of 1965, which banned discrimination in employment, was also passed, and it was brought in by Harold Wilson's government to prevent a situation like Bristol occurring again. Bailey, Hackett and Stevenson have all been given an OBE for their work in the boycott. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, or you can follow me at Twitter at LittleMissHistory81, at TanyaAlex38, or at Facebook at facebook.com/TanyaAlex38.